All right, so I made an error in my last video. I did not calculate the downforce correctly. For some reason, I thought the output was in kilograms force. It's not, it's in newtons. So I converted to pounds incorrectly. Upon examining the values for pounds, upon re-examining it, the 1,800 pounds of downforce that I thought we were getting, that to my credit, I thought was pretty high, is now closer to 275, 285, which makes much more sense. But now with that in mind, at normal driving speeds, so here at 60 miles per hour, we're only getting 40 pounds of downforce. So that's not nearly as much as I want. But this is for a, oh, did I change this to an 8-inch airfoil? I did. Okay, so this is for an 8-inch airfoil too, and not what I had hoped. So that was for a 4414. I started looking at 8000 series again, like 8400 airfoils. So, and one thing I found was that since the drag is also much lower than I thought, I was like, well, maybe we can start looking at those 64 and 8400 airfoils again. Now, the lift is a great metric to look at cerebrally, but it doesn't really give you an idea of how that translates to performance. So I went ahead and I started looking at turning radius improvements. Now, this is just an estimate, but it gives you a good scale of what you're turning, how it's going to affect how you drive. So I mean, the main reason you get downforce is so you can, well, not accelerate because you're just sitting still, but you can turn tighter corners, right? So basically, I just took the amount of downforce that we have, the amount of weight that's on the rear wheels, and I took half of the weight of the car. The GR86 is pretty close to a 50-50 weight distribution. I think it's like 53-47, but I just took a little less than half the weight. It's like 2,800 something, and 47% on the rear. So I just used 50% of 2,800, 1,400 pounds. And then I added the lift or the downforce to that. And I took the estimated friction force between the tires and the road. What I was able to find is the coefficient of friction for the average tire and on the road is somewhere between 0.7 and 0.8. So I just used 0.75. That gave us the amount of force, the force friction, that is the maximum force friction you can get before you break coefficient of static friction and go to coefficient of kinetic. And then you can use that as centripetal acceleration. That's the acceleration inward that your car has going around a corner. You can derive that to get the radius of that turn or the circle in that centripetal acceleration, and you back it out. You get the minimum turning radius before you break coefficient of static friction. So the minimum turning radius here takes into account the coefficient of lift at different angles of attack. You have the lift here, and basically I made this page so I can just drop in these two columns from different simulation runs that I do, and it'll change this, update the chart, and then I just cut that out and paste it into my notebook here, and I can look at them later. I figured that'd be a bit faster than just compiling all this stuff, making a ton of charts. I'm just gonna drop this in here, make the chart, take a screen grab, put it in the notebook, and then I can re-examine and look closer at them later. Oh, down here we have the amount of the turning radius if the car has no downforce. So down here we have the turning radius if the car has no downforce, and I just made a column for this so it'll make a straight line here, and then you can compare that difference in turning radius. And then this is just a percent decrease in turning radius, this gray line here. So you can kind of get a better idea, like, okay, that's a 17% decrease, right? 16.9. Hey, look, pretty good at reading graphs. So that just kind of gives you a ballpark, because right here, this doesn't look that great, but when you look down here, it's like, oh, that's a 17% decrease. And then I've done it on several airfoils, like the 8416 here. You get almost a 25% decrease. It looks like it's close to 22 or 23. for an 8416. These were done at 60 miles an hour. I just forgot to change the label on that. So here we have about a 22% decrease. Here we get almost 25 for an 8316. I hadn't done a 3. The airfoil does look a little wonky, but I was like, let's give it a whirl. But we do have that kind of instability between 15 and 25 degrees angle of attack. So that is like one thing we could do is just say like, hey, cap it off at like 15, 16 degrees angle of attack. No matter, if you're turning sharper, forget about it. It's capped out at 16 degrees. So that might be something that we look at now. I did really like the performance of the 4414 because it did have that nice flat profile after about 15 degrees, and it wouldn't change the performance of the airfoil if you wanted to increase the angle of attack and generate more drag. But I think what we'll do after looking at these airfoils after I corrected my downforce calculations is I think what we're going to do is try to get the maximum downforce, and then in the controls and the software, we will just cap the angle of attack. Because if you're racing this and you really, really need that downforce, chances are you've got better brakes. And the GR86 actually can brake really, really well if you put on the right rotors and pads, and if you put on like a set of StopTech calipers, that thing, it can brake so fast. I actually have a video from MotoIQ up right now, but he did a video about how they built I think they built an FRS, and he goes into a lot of detail about how they did it. And he has a little blurb in there about the StopTech brakes. I'll put that link to that video down in the description because it's a really great video. I reference that video a lot. All that being said, I think what we're going to do is prioritize maximum downforce, and then we'll examine the turning radius, and whatever gets us the largest decrease in minimum turning radius, I think that'll be the airfoil we go with. And then in software for the control system, we'll just cap out the angle of attack at whatever the maximum downforce is, and then it just won't go over that. So yeah, bit of a shorter one here, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep looking at these. The 8.3 is looking really interesting, so I think we're gonna look at those a bit more. The 2416 wasn't that great. I'm gonna keep looking at these, figure out an airfoil that we're gonna go with. And then what I think I'm going to start doing is looking at the structure. Also, increasing the width of the airfoil. So like this is 8 inches. That's bigger than I wanted to go. But increasing that width might give us that little extra downforce I want to do. Oh, more to come in the next videos. I think I found also a carbon fiber Kevlar fabric hybrid that is reasonably priced. And it looks really cool. It's kind of got like this these yellow Kevlar strands running through it with black. It looks sick. So I might want to go with that, because it's a good material, but it looks really cool. I'm also learning more about how to do carbon fiber myself. Including the wet layups and forging carbon fiber. So a lot of the structure I might end up doing forged carbon fiber for, because it's super lightweight. It's super easy to make in any shape you want. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be starting on structures soon, and I'll go more into how I plan to obviously build the structure, but as well as integrate the mechanical components. And we'll start working on the mechanics of it as well, which is one of my favorite parts. I'm a mechanical engineer, but I still really enjoy this too. Anyway, lots more to come. Thank you for watching. Be sure to be kind to someone today, and I'll see you next time. Peace.